personally, I think this is where I struggled the most in my training. And I say that kind of ironically because it's very easy to get discouraged when you hit a plateau in the gym, especially if it's your first time. And I can assure you, it won't be the last. It's like when you're just first starting out and you see some newbie gains for the first time, and then all of a sudden, boom, you just hit a wall. But I can tell you that from my experience, it all comes down to 3 crucial factors. The single biggest mistake I see people make, including myself starting out, was getting frustrated and trying to rush the process. Whether that be ego lifting or trying to rush through calisthenics progressions to get a full planche in 2 weeks. It simply does not work. Ultimately, this cost me years of missed progress due to being constantly plagued by injuries. Hopefully, you guys can make it through to the end of the video so you don't have to go through what I went through. Factor number 1 is consistency. If you're not consistent, it kind of speaks for itself. You're never going to see any real results training in the gym. You've just got to show up when you don't feel like showing up. Stop worrying about being perfect. Stop worrying about the perfect split or whatever other ideal scenario you're waiting for. You have to build the discipline by telling yourself, this is what we do now. Some of my best workouts have come from just showing up when I didn't feel like it. And when you think about it, when you constantly miss workouts, they call it the death of 1,000 cuts. Adaptation is the second factor. And personally, I think this is where I struggled the most in my training. And I say that kind of ironically because in order to adapt, in order to grow, you must struggle. You need to make it
harder than freaking last time.
Some examples you're probably familiar with when it comes to adaptation are adding weight, adding reps, trying different calisthenics progressions, whatever it may be. But the less popular one is one that I want to touch on, because a lot of times you might have to catch yourself and say, look, we have to go back, we have to slow it down, slow down the tempo, slow down the reps, focus on the quality. Because if you're front running your weight and front running your reps and your form looks like shit, ultimately you're not going to get over that line. And a great way to check your form is by just filming yourself, because when we film ourselves, you can kind of critique and adjust your form accordingly. At the end of the day, adaptation really comes down to your own personal goals though, and the plateau that you're speaking about, whether your goals are related to endurance, strength, mobility, stability. They could be related to all those things. But then you have to figure out A, how are we going to fit that all into our training split? And then B, how are we going to make it harder than last time with proper form and technique? Regarding your own personal training plan, I'm going to go back to the first factor, which is consistency. You want to make sure that you're not changing your split every week, because ultimately this is going to lead to inconsistent results. Ultimately, it's not going to get you to meet your goals. But if you feel like you've surpassed your current plan, then by all means, feel free to up the weight, up the reps, and try out some new progressions. If you're still feeling stuck with your training plan and you're not quite sure where to go next, feel free to reach out over Instagram. The first 10 people to reach out will get a free personalized training plan tailored to their needs. Last but not least is patience. Realize that if you're in this thing for the long haul, you better buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Progress isn't incremental, and neither is life. There will almost certainly be ups and downs. Anyways, guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Go out there, make some gains, drop some steaks in the chat below for your boy. It's actually been a while since I had a nice steak. Smash that like button and subscribe.